Welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Jessica Stutzman. Today, we find ourselves at the Erie Women's Club in downtown Erie, celebrating the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote in America. The historical experts joining our show today are Judy Santone-Husted and Melinda Meyer. We are now inside the former Galbraith Mansion, which is the clubhouse for the Women's Club of Erie. And I want to thank you both for joining us here today on the Millcreek Government Channel. Again, we have Judy and Melinda joining us. Why don't you share with our viewers, just so they get to know you a little bit better, what each of your titles and what you do for the organization?
My title is president, and I oversee our meetings, our committees. I try to encourage, motivate, recruit, and I guess I'm the face of the club.
Wonderful. Thank you, Judy. And Melinda, what is your role here in the organization?
So I'm a member of the Women's Club of Erie and have been for probably 4 or 5 years now, and got involved just because of the preservation efforts here to preserve the Galbraith Mansion. So it's been fun. It's been fun to be involved with the club.
And can you tell me a little bit more about the Women's Club of Erie? Why and when was the club formed, and what's the mission statement for the organization?
Okay. The Pittsburgh branch of the General Federation of Women's Clubs had contacted Maud Allen Warner, who lived in Erie, and because the GFWC was trying to expand their membership statewide, they contacted her and asked if possibly a club could be formed in Erie. So Maud contacted her friend, Carrie T. Watson, and they invited 16 friends over to Mrs. Warner's father's house. They had a meeting. Then they had a subsequent meeting with the president of the Pittsburgh branch. They decided to form the Women's Club of Erie. They set their bylaws, and in December of 1987, the Women's Club was formed.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And how did this particular building become, a part of the organization?
Well, in 1914, the club's membership had increased so much. They were having difficulty finding large venues to hold their meetings, and it was always their intent to have their own clubhouse. So they purchased a piece of a vacant land on 10th Street between Myrtle and Sass. They had an architect draw plans for a 3-story building with the 3rd floor containing a meeting room that could seat 1,000 people. There also was going to be an option for 1 or 2 elevators. And when they tried to secure a loan to build the house, they were unsuccessful. So in 1921, Winifred Galbraith at that time was a widow, and she was a member of the Women's Club, and she offered to sell the house to the club. The club members came, they investigated the house, they liked it, and she was going to sell it for $60,000. They offered her $55,000. And with that $55,000, that included the sale of the vacant lot at a value of $16,000, $14,000 in cash, and a 5-year mortgage of $25,000. So she accepted, and the club purchased the home in June of 1921.
It's an absolutely beautiful home. It's in historic downtown Erie and on what we like to refer to as Millionaire's Row. Can you give us some historical attributes of the home that if anyone takes a tour, they should really take notice of these things?
Well, we have a newspaper clipping. Apparently, at the time the house was built, the paper would describe the entire house that was being built. And I think that's what promoted people to want to do one step beyond another person. We have 2 bedrooms up on the 3rd floor that each have their own personal sink, and that was for the convenience of their guests. Also, when this house was built, they had a sunken tub in the bathroom. but a member was renting a room here and she didn't like it, so she went to the board and asked if it could be removed. They said, okay, but it's all at your expense. So I find that that was very interesting. But those are some of the attributes. We have 8 fireplaces that have either Carrara marble or tile. The wood is different in each of the fireplaces.
There are a lot of different really great features of this house. So when it was built during an era of grand homes, right? So the style of the building is Richardsonian Romanesque, and that style was most used in the 1880s and 1890s. And the style itself, what helps to define the style is the use of geometric shape. So when you look at the exterior of the building, you're going to see it has rounded features, but it also has rectangular and triangular features. So geometric shape. It also has a very significant and prominent front entryway. So that was very common for the Richardsonian Romanesque style homes. It's got this huge arched front entryway. You'll see that the building was made out of brick as well as brownstone. So that those are also characteristic materials for the style. So in addition to the exterior of the building having kind of this unique style, because I should mention that within the West 6th Street Historic District, there are actually 4 homes that are in this style. So this is one of 4. But inside, in addition to what Judy mentioned, there are leaded glass windows. There is a beautiful main staircase. You'll also find servants' quarters here and a servants' staircase. So there are lots of really great features to this home.
And can you touch a little bit on the historic districts in Erie? You mentioned that there are several.
Yeah, so in the city of Erie, there are actually 4 National Register listed historic districts. Now the National Register is the nation's list of historic resources. It's actually managed by the National Park Service. So in Erie, we've got 4 historic districts. Probably our largest is the West 6th Street Historic District. It includes about 120 historic resources, and it spans from Perry Square to Gridley Park. So the Galbraith Mansion, which is the clubhouse of the Women's Club today, is one of about 120 historic homes that are within that district.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And is this particular home difficult to maintain because it is so rich in history and renovations may need to be made over time?
That's a really good question.
Our operational budget is about $34,000. That includes like $11,000 in for insurance, another $7,000 in taxes. Our utilities are about $8,000. But then, of course, we have things that need to be repaired. In the past several years, we have had to restore our back and front porch. Our tea room was also restored. We, through a grant, through EDCRA, a matching grant, we were able to do some of our brick repointing on the south side of the building. Recently, we have installed all of the windows on our 4th floor. We had the window sills on the main floor, which is our 2nd floor, restored. We are also now in the process of having wrought iron handrails fabricated for our front walkway and our stairs. So to do all of that, we of course have to do a lot of fundraising, and it's through our membership fees and our many events and donations that we're able to do that. And we also are very fortunate to have Melinda, because Melinda is an experienced grant writer, and it was through her efforts that we were able to get the EDCRA grant that helped a great deal.
Wonderful.
So they also had, from time to time, there are also emergencies that occur with any home that is of this age. you've got sometimes unexpected projects. So there have been at least 2 unexpected projects within the last year. So over the winter, there was a pipe that froze upstairs that burst, and the water leak impacted 2 or 3 floors of the building. And so the Women's Club, thankfully, the water was shut off in just hours after the leak started. And then they were able to, then they began immediately the drying out of the home. So had to contract with a specialty company to come in and help to dry out the woodwork and the carpeting, and then fully restore doorways and carpeting on 3 different levels of the home. And then, of course, recently there's been a water line break.
Yes.
So lots of surprises in addition to the planned preservation and conservation work.
Yes.
Now, who found that leak? Does somebody still live here in the home, or are there members here every single day?
Almost, but what happened, it was a Friday, February 1st, and we rent out our commercial kitchen, and one of the employees was in our tea room. Now, as Melinda said, the pipe that burst was in the bedroom on the 3rd floor. He is down on the 1st floor, and all of a sudden, the ceiling is leaking water onto the tea room table. So he was quite concerned and made some phone calls. Our chairperson for the house was immediately contacted. She arrived, she contacted a plumber, they shut off the water, and as Melinda explained, our plumber, he was wonderful. He contacted various companies who came in and set up all the equipment to start drying us out. So we were very fortunate that he was here working that day.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite the ordeal. But like you said, it just comes with the home and comes with the territory. Something very, very special that I want us to talk about next is that the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment. And that is very, very special to your organization. Can you tell our viewers what is the 19th Amendment and why is that so special to you?
It took over 100 years, I'm thinking about 140 years, for women to be able to vote. And that is what the 19th Amendment said, that all citizens of the United States will not be prohibited from voting by sex. This year has been a year of discovery. We were contacted, one of our members is a member of the League of Women Voters, and she invited me to attend a meeting that they were holding with representatives of other organizations in Erie. And that started the ball rolling for me to start doing some investigative work. And I discovered that we have actually 3 members who were suffragettes, and 2 of them were part of the 18 founding members. Jane Were Presley was a 2-term president. Jenny Cleveland was the treasurer. She was also a photographer. She later became a teacher, but she took a lot of the photographs of suffragettes during that time period. The 3rd individual was Mabel Woodward Wright, and Mabel and Jane were instrumental in having the voting ballot changed to voting machines in the early 1920s. And with the General Federation of Women's Clubs, they were concerned on getting on record as being suffragettes because they were afraid that that would hurt their other causes, but as individuals, they were suffragettes. And the reason they became suffragettes, one of the reasons, is because of child labor laws. They knew that if they were going to affect change, they had to have the vote. And so it wasn't for personal reasons, it was we need to make some changes. We have to affect change, we need a voice, and we have to do that through the ballot. So that's very important. And women, I'm afraid that women today, and actually men, do not take our voting privilege seriously.
I know I've seen a big campaign, on social media to even wear the stickers, I voted. And I think that has really helped, but I agree with you. I think it's such a wonderful thing that everybody gets to vote, and I think we should all take it very seriously. I know that, I make it a point, even with my toddler on my hip in the voting machine, that I go do it as well. But, unfortunately, I would like to see more people take it seriously as well.
Yes, we
And
should.
I think that's really what the commemoration, what probably a lot of organizations that are participating in the commemoration are really focusing on. Not just the passage of the 19th Amendment, but really looking at 2019 and people taking their responsibility and role in the democratic process seriously, right? So encouraging, yes, not just women to vote, but everyone that has the opportunity to participate in making decisions at the local, state, and federal level.
The commemoration is more than a celebration of just history. What does the club hope to achieve by taking part in a lot of celebratory events coming up?
Well, we've had several events already, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for us to have women come into the club for an event. They're wearing sashes that say "Votes for Women." We're also selling items that commemorate the 19th Amendment ratification. We have a bracelet that was made by Relish, and it has the sunflower and the 3 crystals of white, gold, and purple that were the colors of the suffragettes. We're selling mugs that say "Votes for Women." It's making women in Erie aware, more aware. I don't remember learning about the suffrage movement in school. And it's a shame because these women, they struggled in what they endured. But it wasn't just women, it was men too. And so men were standing up to other men who, were criticizing and ridiculing them for supporting women to have the power to vote.
And so you mentioned a couple of the things we have here on the table. Why don't you point out a couple other items of interest that you didn't mention yet?
Okay, well, in partnership with Millcreek Coffee, we are selling our own blend, 259 blend, which is, of course, the address of 259 West 6th Street. These are the mugs, Votes for Women, and the bracelet that's over here, and the sashes that we had an event. It was our equality, and we had women who came in already wearing their sashes, and then they purchased some of our buttons. So it was nice to look around and see all of these women, and it was awareness, and it was camaraderie, and it was unification. It was nice.
And so when we purchase these things, all of the proceeds go back to helping your organization.
Yes, yes. Our mission is not only philanthropy and education and civic involvement, but it's the preservation of the clubhouse. At one time, there were over 700 members. We now are at 99. So the task may be daunting, but we're moving forward, and it's with the help of grants and the community that we're able to do that.
And what events do you have lined up in 2020 to continue commemorating this momentous celebration?
Well, we are going to be showing the movie Iron-Jawed Angels, starring Hilary Swank, and that is following Alice Paul. She was one of the more radical suffragettes. She was jailed several times. She was also force-fed. I believe the longest time she was in jail was 10 days because she was picketing the White House. And we also are going to have a student juried art show, and the theme will be the suffrage movement. We are going to have a tea.
I tell you what, though, what people can do, though, is watch the Facebook page of the Women's Club of Erie and the website. and kind of stay up to date with the events that are happening or planned by the Women's Club of Erie. Because in addition to the proceeds of the sale of these items that we've already talked about, the ticket sales for the events also go to benefit the club and continue the mission work of the club. So I would say people should kind of stay tuned in to social media and the website for upcoming events.
Absolutely. And in the spirit of helping you gain more members, do you need volunteers? And again, we talked about many things that our viewers can do to purchase, but do you need members? Do you need funding support? What's going to help your organization move forward?
Both of those. We would love to increase our membership. Anyone who walks through the door, we encourage them to join. We are a social organization, but as I said, we provide scholarships. We are involved with the West Erie Bayfront. This is our neighborhood. We also help out with the warming shelter with the Church of the Covenant. We also do Sunday suppers twice a year. So we may not have a lot of financial money support to help the community, but we do so with volunteer hours, and mostly our funds have to go towards the preservation of our clubhouse. But we feel it's worth saving. We love it, and we enjoy providing tours. We love to talk about the clubhouse, so we welcome the community to come in.
Wonderful. And what I don't want to forget to talk about are these yearbooks here, and I'm going to pass these over to you so you can help our viewers. What are these special books?
These are the yearbooks dating 1914 to 15 and 1915 to 1916. We had an event in June where we brought down a lot of our archival material. We have yearbooks and we have photo albums and newspaper clippings. And it's the first time that I'm aware that the community was invited to view our aspects of our archives. So it is important that we have a record of who we are and what we have done in Erie all these years.
Yes, absolutely. And what I don't want to forget to mention, actually, I have attended some events here, but what if the community wants to rent space in the mansion? Is that okay? Is that something that you encourage?
Oh, absolutely. We are available for rental. In fact, we've had people come in who've had their wedding here, and then they will celebrate a milestone anniversary. We have the beautiful staircase where the bride has thrown her bouquet down. It's an intimate setting, so you can have private parties, it could be showers, it could be a small wedding. You could use it for many things. And yes, it is available for rent.
And how should our viewers get in touch with you? Again, you mentioned your Facebook page. How should our viewers get in touch via the website or email or phone call? What's the best way?
Well, if they want to go to our website, we have a lot of photos of the house, and they can look at that to see if maybe this is a possible venue for them for an event. And we have our contact information. We have our outside activities chair, and that's Donna Harrington, and she would be happy to answer any of their questions. Our calendar of events is also there. And there's also a history of the Women's Club.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our time has just about come to a close here, but what I want to ask, and a question I want to ask to you both, is there anything or one last thought that you want to leave our viewers with today about the Women's Club?
What we haven't mentioned yet is that there is a history of the Women's Club that's in process. So as part of the commemoration that's coming up in 2020, it was decided to write a history of the Women's Club of Erie and really highlight some of the work of the club over the past 100 plus years. So David Frew and I are working on that in partnership with many club members. There are quite a few historians among the membership, and we're digging into the archives upstairs. So the Women's Club, in addition to having the annual membership books that Judy has here, they've got minute books from going back to 1897 when the club was founded. There are 20 to 30 scrapbooks. There's a plethora of information in the archives. So all of that information is being used to put together the history, and hopefully folks will be able to see that come out in the next Journal of Erie Studies.
Thank you so much. This is really such a wonderful gem of Erie, and I really want our viewers to take advantage by attending your events and coming to take tours of the mansion. But I want to thank you both so much for taking the time out of your day to share history with us and letting us tour the mansion with you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Viewers, we have learned a great deal about the women's suffrage movement that took place in this country and our very own backyard. After gaining a new understanding and respect for the historical figures that led this charge for equality, I hope you consider attending some of the inspirational commemoration events that are planned for 2020. Thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel, and until next time, have a great day.